I feel like everything is passing by so much faster. I don't know about you, but thank you so much for joining me. It is Wednesday. What day is it? 27th? I think. I think we're on the 27th. Oh my God, this month is so long. If you're just joining me for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. My name is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici, and I am trying to bring you headlines every single morning of just the things that are interesting in the sort of policy side of things, lifestyle, and just in general, things that I think you would be interested in. So there's only a few things that I think we should talk about this morning before, I head on into the day, which is the first one is Musk and Donald Trump sort of in a little bit of a quarrel, and not because of Donald Trump, but because of Elon Musk. So I saw an article, and let me see if I don't remember. I can't even talk. I don't remember if I screenshotted it this morning. But basically, he was saying something about the fact that he did not like. Ooh, can I turn that off? I don't know if I can turn that off now that I turned it on. There we go. That he did not like the fact that the bill would basically go against what he was trying to do with Doge. And it's very interesting because over the past course of like a few days, I have noticed that basically Donald Trump and Elon Musk are not in the same room except for when they were in, I believe, Saudi Arabia, okay? Because it was that whole like tag, AI, future, whatever they were doing, right? So he was in the room there. And then he was back in the room when the South African president was in the Oval Office. And so he kind of like got what he came for, right? But then now he's going against Donald Trump saying, oh, no, 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 this big, beautiful bill is not so beautiful after all. So I'm wondering if he's kind of like trying to like flex a little muscle here to show the American people that no, you're not really saving the American tax dollar or the American taxpayers money, but you are spending it, especially with the sort of deficit hike, right? Now, how does this play out in the long run? Okay. I absolutely believe that because Elon Musk kind of fell by the wayside as far as like his politics, okay, he's not the center of attention in the room anymore, okay, I believe that he will be disgruntled. He will be that disgruntled employee. He already kind of ruffled the feathers of his own. Hi, Kieran or Kieran. He already ruffled the feathers of his sort of Tesla base, his board of directors, all the things. And so I think that when that sort of happened with his, oh, thank you. I love these glasses. These are from Zenny, if you want some glasses. But I think that he ruffled the feathers of his board, obviously. And then yesterday, SpaceX did not have an amazing showing. Obviously, it was the ninth test launch, and it went up and it did what it was supposed to do. But when it came back, it's sort of what they called, I think they call it a radical disassembly or something like this. Basically, it didn't come back the same way that it should have come back. Hi, Roger. Hi, Fred. How are you guys? And so this begs the question, if Donald Trump's bill is not to the liking of Elon Musk, and they are sort of publicly spatting about it, and Elon Musk is not necessarily the center of attention anymore, but still kind of wants the attention, and also his experiments with SpaceX are not living up to the hype, just like Doge didn't exactly live up to the hype of saving the sort of taxpayer dollar. What exactly does that mean? I think that means that with him on the outs, that Elon Musk is going to become a more and more disgruntled former employee. Yes, just as many, many people do working under Donald Trump. So I think that this is where it's going. Fred asks where I'm living. I live in Los Angeles. Tell me in the comments where you live. I think this is where it's going, and I think he's about to spill the beans. I think a major event is going to happen where they are completely on the outs, meaning like right now he's kind of still on the outer circle, getting a little bit of what he wants. And I think he's going to be completely on the outs, and that is going to be a problem for Elon Musk. But because what happened in Wisconsin didn't really work out for the Republicans, they don't really see him as very useful or persuasive anymore. I don't believe that they think that his money is going to influence any other elections. Okay. Now, whether or not his technology influences any other elections, that remains to be seen. So I think that's one of the biggest news stories out of like the last few days is Doge going against Donald Trump. Elon Musk, kind of on the outskirts. Um, Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Roger, nice glasses from Maryland. Oh my God. Let me tell you that when I saw these glasses on Zenny, it was because they were part of a collaboration with Iris Opfel. And if you haven't seen Iris Opfel, she actually passed away, I believe, last year, but she was iconic in kind of like the New York City fashion sort of scene, the sort of socialite scene, and she was very, very unique. I would say her collection. I don't know if they sold her collection or what, but it's very interesting how that whole collaboration came together. And I don't know if they still have all of her stuff online, but you should definitely check it out. But these are from her collection. And she used to wear these sort of rounded, big rounded glasses, not the small, like writer style ones, but sort of the bigger rounded glasses. That was like her signature style. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, when it comes to the sort of big beautiful bill, the other news that's happening is a lot of Republicans are coming out from the Senate side and saying this is not going to pass as it is. And that's a big deal because all of those congressional leaders from the Republican side stuck their neck out and said, go ahead, pass it, pass this big, beautiful bill. And I don't know if this was all sort of preordained, right? The congressional leaders stuck their necks out. They said, yes, pass it. And then the Senate comes in and says, no, we're not going to pass it. So that they have some sort of, how do you say, some sort of reprieve where they can go, oh, I had no idea this was in the bill. Thank you so much for the Senate for letting us know. And then they have something to go to their constituents about and say, hey, you know what? We should slow down, right? So sometimes when you see all of these sort of votes that happen, you can tell that there's a little bit of pre-orchestration, right? There's a little choreography happening. This particular side is going to vote for it, and then the Senate says no, 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 and then they have to go back to the House, and then there's a sort of back and forth, this sort of dance that happens, right? So I think a lot of these votes have been orchestrated to let Congress vote for it and appease Donald Trump and say, look, Congress passed it. Congress passed your bill. We are for you. Do not come after us, right? And then Senate to sort of hold the line, right? They're going to hold the line and say, no, no, no. And the Senate is a little less persuaded most of the time, but they can be. They can be, but they need Democratic votes to have it passed in the Senate. So I think that this sort of orchestration, this sort of dance with the devil that's happening right now, I think it's all very well planned. And I think that they're going to not pass it in the Senate, kick it back down to the Congress, which I think is on recess right now. They're not actually meeting. And I think that they're going to come back and they're going to have to make significant changes. But they will be able to say, but we voted for it the first time. Donald Trump, we voted for it. Don't come after us. We're just doing what the people want this time. Okay. So I think this is going to happen. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a gut check for Donald Trump when it comes back. Derek, yeah, big beautiful bill, lol. Exactly. It's not so pretty. Renjith, I think is how you say your name. Welcome from India. Thank you for joining me all the way. I am living in Los Angeles, so totally different time zones here. I appreciate you joining. So those are kind of the two biggest stories. The Doge Musk going against the bill and the Senate about to probably not pass the bill and kick it back down to Congress. And then Congress is going to make some sweeping changes and they're going to say, well, this is what the people want. And they're going to pass a budget. I don't know what that budget's going to look like, but I don't think it's going to be what Donald Trump wants. But Congress can then say, but we did it the first time, right? It's all about technicalities, right? The other thing is from yesterday, there was a story out that was saying that Donald Trump, I believe he posted something on his Truth Social, and he said something about things could be much worse for Putin if I hadn't been here. So basically, like admitting that he has been sort of the buffer between Putin and Zelensky and the war in Ukraine, or the war for Ukraine, like all of the stuff that's been happening. He's basically been like he admitted helping Putin, which is horrible for an American president to do. Um, I think that this is one of the times where we should all kind of look at the words that he's saying and then look at the actions that he's doing. I think a lot of people say, don't look at what I was coming out of my mouth, right? Look at the actions that are actually taking place. Lee, hello, how are you? Derek says they will be ever more divided. I believe this. I firmly believe this, that what has happened in the Congress, where we came together to pass this bill and send it to the Senate, when they come back to the Congress, it will be. Do you remember when, and I'm totally getting off topic here, do you remember when there was a rules committee meeting and they voted it down? Okay, they voted it down. They came back after, negotiating. And one rules committee member voted present and four switched their votes to yes. Okay. And then when they went to the Congress and they voted on the actual bill, I believe one voted present, and then the rest of them had all changed their votes to aye, right? Which is yes, right? That one who voted present has something that they cannot get past, right? They can't get past whatever's in the bill, so they can't vote yes or no. They're just voting present. And I wonder if that sort of orchestration of the votes, right? The orchestration of the votes is a thing to where that person who voted president is going to get something on the back end, right? Like for their state, they're going to get something, and it can't come until it hits the Senate, gets rejected, comes back to the House, and then they rewrite that thing. And then we'll see that change, that where that person who voted present can then say aye. They can vote yes. And that will be the interesting part that I'm looking for here, is how people have changed their votes and what they got for that vote in return. Okay, this is kind of like the choreography. It's all choreography, and it's all pre-done. Like they've already decided the votes. They've already done it. The other thing is the Diddy trial is still going on. If you have not been paying attention, there are some wild things going on as far as the accusations that have been made, death threats that have been alleged, kidnapping that has been alleged. Basically, they're proving, like the prosecution with every single witness is sort of proving their sort of charges of racketeering and just all drug usage and, persuasion, all the different things, right? I believe with their witnesses, they are really proving their case. Now, whether or not a jury believes it, I don't know. But Cassie was on the stand, Dawn was on the stand, Kid Cudi was on the stand, two assistants were on the stand. I think, was it Usher was on the stand? I don't know. There were a few people that are yet to be seen on the stand, but they have talked about these sort of alleged drug infused parties and cleanups that just sound so messy. So messy, and so like a voyeuristic, I think is a good word for that. Lee says, throw him out, take away his presidency, he doesn't deserve it. You know what, there are so many people, especially over the last few days, we're talking about Donald Trump. He pardoned the Chrisleys. I think, or he's about to pardon the Chrisleys. Do you remember them? They I think it was tax fraud or tax evasion. They got sent to jail for embezzlement, I think. I'm not quite sure exactly the charges, but it was enough that they both went to jail, right? And they got two different like sentences or whatever, but they are going to be pardoned by Donald Trump. Like, that is insane to me. But he pardoned a lot of the January 6th insurrectionists as well. So I guess nothing is off the table for Donald Trump. Anyways, there's a lot going on in the news. Obviously, he's going after Harvard. If you didn't know, Harvard has an entire catalog of free classes. If you ever wanted to take a class at Harvard, now would be the time. And then if you wanted to take a test at the end of whatever it is, whatever classes that you take at Harvard, from the free course catalog, I believe you can test at the end and get a certificate. And then, I mean, you have to pay for the testing, but the classes are free. The testing at the end is optional. And I believe you can pay to have the test and get the certificate and then put Harvard on your resume that you attended Harvard. So if you haven't had a chance, go look at the Harvard website. There's an entire, like, I don't know, there's a lot of classes that are free that you can take. And then I was looking at the ones that were for like tech. There's like, I think there's a Python class. There's like a lot of different technology classes, which I think if you have the time, some of them are like 4 weeks, some are like 10 to 12 weeks. And a lot of them are self-paced. So I would just peruse the catalog and see if maybe you're going to have a summer class at Harvard. It would be really cool to have that on your resume because they are a great school. Anyways, I hope that you're having a great day today. We are just starting it. I'm in the West Coast. It is about 10 till 9 o'clock in the morning, and I hope that your weather is doing you the best day that you can actually possibly have. Ours is a little cloudy out here, but I think that's going to burn off toward the middle of the day. And I will see you right back here. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, click the subscribe button. It's free. And then also, if you're here still, go to my community tab. I have one poll every single day. What is it, the 27th or something? There should be at least 27 polls in there. Take those polls because at the end of the month, I'm gonna go and do an entire wrap up of all of your guys' opinions and thoughts on all the different polls, talking about the baby bonus, talking about healthcare, talking about summer style. There's so many different polls in there, and I would love to hear your opinion. But just go over to the community tab right here on my profile and you can see all the polls. Yeah, I'm done now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm glad that you love my glasses. I hope that you head on over to Zenny if you have a chance. I am not an affiliate of Zenny, but if you would like, go over to Zenny and see if any of those fit your face. I think that they have that sort of virtual reality, sort of like augmented, where you can like scan your face and then you can kind of try on glasses virtually so you can see what they look like before you buy them. So I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow, guys, right here bright and early.